Hence, we are finished discussing about the varieties of language. Now we are moving on to another topic entitled language registers. So here we can define the language register. It is a way that a speaker uses the languages in such varieties of situations that involves thinking about your word choice, voice tone, and your body language. In a nutshell, it is an act on how you behave through communicating with your friend. Was it casual? Was it formal? Or something intimate? Or during the job interview, was it consultative? Was it formal or such casual? Or having a private conversation with your loved ones. So it depends on your situation based on your recipient's profession or the status of his or her job or profession. It's the way you behave on them based on the profession. Now, we have here the differences between the formal and the informal register of language. But first, let us determine the formal register. So, it is described as constrained, self-conscious, respectful. It contains seriousness, politeness, and adherence to established conventions, and it uses uninterrupted or avoids distraction in communication style that we often see or encounter or used in a professional settings, academics or legal settings, or in the business communications, the legal documents, official speeches, or any factors of formal ceremonies that uses a formal register. So people who were in a professional way of communicating chose their words carefully often to avoid the colloquialisms, the slang, contradictions, and profanities that employ more complex sentence structures and more sophisticated that avoids informal or casual terms. So informal register, you were using a respectful tone or a serious tone that convey a respect, professionalism, and adherence in communication. So an example here, we have the research papers, the job interviews, Wikipedia, essays, or you were talking politely in front of your principal. A good example of formal register. Now, moving on to the informal register or what they call casual register that of course used on a daily basis during a casual group settings that includes your friends, your co-workers, your family members that you are allowed to use slangs, contradictions, vernacular grammar such as idioms and expletives, or in a nutshell, profanities. You can use a swear word or jokes. So in in the formal register, you are not allowed or prohibited to use informal languages. On the other hand, in the informal register, you are allowed to use a slangs or colloquialisms. Example scenario, you are in a birthday party with your friends, you are making jokes, having fun, or a family reunion, chatting about your life, in such a casual way, the gossiping between your friends, and then, of course, the messenger chats. You are allowed here to use a casually way in interacting with your friends, peers, or co-workers. Now, moving on to the frozen. So, why frozens? So, the definition of frozen is like it's not changing, it's not moving or freezing, it's like stagnant. So, here in frozen, it is also known as the static or fixed register, which is a level of language usage where it is highly structured, formulaic, and remains unchanged over a time. So it is often associated with ceremonial or ritualistic speech, religious texts, and even the legal documents. So, in a nutshell, the frozen register remains unchanged and preserves traditional wording or and phrasing. So, example here, we have the constitutional preamble, the national anthem of the Philippines, the Panatang Makabayan, the oaths and pledges. For example, here, the Pledge of Allegiance, when you are swearing as a president of the Philippines or in some countries, or we can say in the religious text, the Bible, it is unchanged and it will never be replaced or changed. So that's a good example of the frozen register. So there's another one which is the intimate. So in intimate, it is an intimacy or the closeness or the close proximity between you and your close friend or your close family, and how affectionate you were towards each other, how affectionate they are towards each other based on how familiar they are in each other. So in here, in the language register, so the linguist claimed that the intimate register, it is exclusively used or occurs for a special occasions that often used by a people in a casual situations, which typically happens between a two people and often in private. So a good example below was the a guy confessing to his crush while they are in a secret room so that nobody will knows about it. Just it's just the two of them. And then another one is the private conversation between a mother and a daughter. So here, like let's say for example, a daughter was confessing to her mother about her gender identity, and it's only the two of them can know or can acknowledge about it, and nobody will knows about it. So it's only the two of us. And another example here is when a two friends whispering on each other's ear talking about that girl's appearance. So they were whispering about, oh, she's so beautiful. And then another one says, yeah, she does. And then both of them only know what they were trying to say, and hopefully for them, they would not recognize her from what they were about to say. It's only the two of them talking about the particular topic. Now we have the last language register, which was the consultative. So it is commonly used in the conversations between the specialized knowledge or the advice providers in with the usage of your respectful tone and casual if the relationship is friendly. So here in consultative register, it is characterized by its politeness, formality, and cooperative tone that typically employed in professional or advisory contexts where individuals seek or provide guidance, recommendations, or expertisements. So, a good example here was a patient consulting from a therapist. So, you're not about to use a slang here in the consultative because they might confuse them or the therapist might confused on what the patient was about to talk about, what is he or she talking about if he or she uses a slang. Or another example here is a parent asking a teacher's advice from their children's academic performance. So I have another example here was the a student asking for the registrar about the partial documents or what are needed in enrolling a school. That's a good example of consultative register. So, in a nutshell, it is commonly found in the professional settings like consultations with the experts, the service interactions, academic advice, and technical supports that offers an effective and respectful communication and especially when an individual was seeking for advice or information. That was an exhausting day in my life discussing about the language registers and the varieties of language. I hope you learned from me about the varieties of language and the language registers, and hopefully we'll see each other soon and discuss more about purposive communication related topics. Thank you and for enjoying and hope to see each other soon. Bye.